Deep in the Aravalli hills of Rajasthan sits an abandoned stone fortress. At the main entrance, the Archaeological Survey of India has placed a warning, a strict, legally binding warning. Entry is explicitly prohibited after sunset. Local lore claims that one night, 3 teenagers decided to test that warning. They sneaked past the guards into the pitch-black ruins. One of them slipped and fell into a dry well. His friends managed to pull him out and rushed him toward a hospital, but their car crashed on a sharp turn. All 3 died on the spot. For the locals, this was the fortress extracting its toll. Long before it was feared, Bhangarh was a thriving metropolis. Built in 1573 by King Madho Singh, it held an estimated 9,000 homes. It boasted a massive 7-story royal palace, ornate temples, and sprawling markets that attracted merchants from across the entire region. This image shows the remains of that once massive city today. Look closely at the stone structures spanning the landscape. Every single building is completely missing its roof. The walls remain largely intact, but the tops are entirely bare. The residents of neighboring villages claim that any time someone attempts to construct a roof here, it immediately collapses. For them, this sprawling, roofless landscape is physical proof that an ancient supernatural force ripped through the city, earning Bhangarh its reputation as India's most haunted place. According to folklore, the city's doom stems from 2 ancient curses. The first belongs to a local ascetic named Baba Balu Nath. He allowed the king to build the fort on one strict condition: the shadow of the palace must never fall upon his retreat. Years later, a prince added upper levels to the palace, breaking the rule. As the shadow touched the retreat, the city was doomed. The second curse is even darker. A local practitioner of black magic named Tantric Singhia became obsessed with the king's daughter, Princess Ratnavati. Knowing she would never accept him, he attempted to slip a magical love potion into her perfume. The princess realized his trick and hurled the perfume vial against a boulder. The dark magic transferred to the stone itself, sending it rolling aggressively across the ground until it crushed the tantric. As he died, he cursed the entire city to destruction, declaring that its inhabitants would perish and their souls would be forever denied rebirth. Today, visitors report terrifying encounters that match these dark legends. Tourists claim to hear the sounds of women crying or glass bangles breaking in the empty streets. Others describe a heavy, shadowy presence stalking them. In one well-known account, a journalist's fully functioning scooter inexplicably died near the gate right before a stranger appeared, started the engine without touching it, and whispered, "They want you." These modern accounts map onto the ancient legends. The combination of historical curses and continuous reports of unseen forces stalking the grounds convinces thousands of tourists and internet sleuths that the spirits of Bhangarh are active today. But if we look at the actual historical records of Rajasthan, a strange picture emerges. There is 0 historical documentation that Princess Ratnavati or Tantric Singhia ever existed. There are no records of Baba Balu Nath. Even the story of the 3 teenagers dying in a car crash has no corresponding police report. Since the primary characters of the legend never existed, we have to look for a physical source for the genuine dread tourists report when they enter the ruins. Wind moving through the jagged, roofless stone corridors generates infrasound, low-frequency waves dropping below 20 Hz. While human ears cannot process these frequencies, our nervous systems register the vibrations. Exposure triggers sudden dizziness, sharp spikes in anxiety, and a primal sensation of being watched. Scientific studies on suggestibility show that when people are told a place is haunted, they actively expect to feel fear. Once the brain is primed for a threat, a phenomenon called Pareidolia takes over, causing our visual cortex to automatically process random shadows and rocky corners as human figures. Tourists at Bhangarh are experiencing real terror, but they are reacting to their own hardwired biological and cognitive responses to a naturally disorienting environment. This brings us back to the ominous Archaeological Survey of India warning sign at the front gate. While frequently cited as an official acknowledgement of the haunting, the ASI has clarified that the sign is purely an administrative safety notice. To understand the actual danger, Look at a map. Bhangarh Fort sits a mere 50 kilometers away from the Sariska Tiger Reserve, a massive protected wildlife zone. This image shows a Bengal tiger moving through the dry, brush-filled environment typical of this region. When the sun goes down, these apex predators, along with leopards, regularly wander out of the reserve and reclaim the ruins. Navigating collapsing stone structures in the dark is lethally unsafe. The natural calls of the local wildlife often mimic human distress. Striped hyenas produce vocalizations that sound remarkably like humans crying or laughing. At night, troops of macaques jump through the canopy, creating rustling noises and snapping branches that sound exactly like heavy footsteps. Lethal danger in the ruins is a matter of biology. Bengal tigers, leopards, and hyenas reclaim these storms every night, presenting a far more immediate threat than any vengeful spirit from a royal court. The actual downfall of Bhangarh is a matter of documented history. By the 1720s, the city's political influence waned, and it was eventually conquered and absorbed by the rulers of the newly established city of Jaipur. The true death blow came a few decades later, as shown in this map detailing the extreme drought conditions across North India in 1783. Triggered by severe El Niño weather patterns, this event is historically recorded as the devastating Chalisa famine. This image of the parched landscape surrounding the ruins reflects the brutal reality of that famine. Facing severe mass dehydration and starvation, the 9,000 families of Bhangarh simply packed up and abandoned their homes in a desperate search for water. Over the centuries, the wooden roofs they left behind rotted away and collapsed. A regional famine is a chaotic, uncontrollable reality. Human psychology naturally recoils from the idea that thousands of lives can be destroyed by a random weather pattern. We prefer the myth because an evil tantric and a magical curse provide a clear villain and a satisfying narrative structure. Today, the local economy relies on the influx of dark tourism, and social media algorithms reward dramatic paranormal videos far more than historical climate analysis. There is an active financial incentive to keep the ghost story alive. Today, these ruins serve as a monument to a massive environmental catastrophe. Once we understand the mechanics behind its collapse, the fear associated with the ghost stories dissipates. Nothing here needs to be feared. It only needs to be understood.